Hey, welcome back to the BUF Athletics podcast. It's the Nate and Nate show joining you. And today we're going to be talking about kind of the biggest changes going from high school to college. Part of it, of course, is athletics, because we're talking about athletics. But just in general, let's start kind of more generic. Like, what are some of the, going from high school to college, what were some of the biggest challenges or changes for you?
Yeah, well, I didn't play sports in high school, so I didn't really have, other than classes, I had a lot of free time. So the first thing I will mention is freedom. It changes a whole lot from high school to college.
True.
No one's setting your schedule. No one's making you do anything. Honestly, if you want to cut class, if you
don't do that.
Well, I think at BUF you have to go to you only get a certain amount of skips, which I graduated from here. It was the same rule then. But I'm just saying, like, no one's holding your hand or whatever. Even going to chapel, no one's making you. Are you going to study? All that stuff is like, you're making your own time. Your freedom's a little different. And even as it pertains to my relationship to God and having a quiet time and going to church and things like that, again, no one's setting your schedule. It's on you. So that's a big change going from high school. I had structure a lot in high school of like, we're leaving at this time, we're doing this then. Saturday, we're going here at 10 a.m. and we're leaving the house there.
Be awake. You don't get breakfast. You don't get breakfast.
Exactly.
Yeah, I think like the responsibility, like you recognize maybe, I think, everybody kind of has a little bit different upbringing. And, you learn that kind of, for me now as a college coach, you learn that even more now. Like I learned it some as a high school coach, but you're kind of learning it more now, even as a college coach. Some of them have had to take responsibility, maybe even caring for younger siblings, different kind of family dynamics. But I would say like a big thing, like you said, is like you're responsible for your own schedule. And that's meals, that's your laundry, that's, going to class, that's getting to practice, making sure you eat, after practice or before practice, or, like taking care of yourself too, I think is like, generally like getting sleep. Like nobody's telling you have to go to sleep, but especially, like for everybody, it's important to get, 7-8 hours of sleep a night, but like, especially for a college athlete, you have to sleep, you have to rest, or your body is going to be broken down midway through the season.
Yeah, I look back on my college days and just think of like, I don't know, sometimes I would miss the cafeteria closed at this time. I've missed it, so I'm just going to eat a meal and that it's extremely unhealthy. Or
microwaved macaroni.
Yeah, I did it. Well, I didn't have the microwave. I had the kind you pour the water in, you stir.
Oh, the powdered cheese is the gross part anyway. But
and when I went here, I ate a ton of Subway. I probably went to Subway over 100 times.
Kept them in business.
To the fact where I think I've had Subway like once or twice in the 10 years since I graduated college. Because I ate it so many times that it kind of ruined it for me. But not just that stuff, like even like study or work habits or whatever. It was like, I'm going to stay up and I'm going to watch this game. And then, oh, well, shoot, it's 2 a.m. Well, I need to do this. I need to write this paper. And like you were saying about sleep, it's like, oh, you end up pulling it all night or you sleep like 1 hour. So that ruins the entire next day for you.
How many all-nighters do you think you pulled in college?
Last at BUF, a lot my freshman, sophomore year. So
you start to learn and it doesn't work. I think I only did like 2, but man, I felt like death the next day afterwards. It's just, you're just like, oh, why did I do that? Like I just need, and I don't take naps, but those days after an all-nighter, I took a nap.
That's another big change from high school to college. I think you learn that naps are actually great. I think you learn in college.
Yeah, I never learned that. I think like kind of shifting a little bit more to like the athlete kind of change, I would say, we talked a little bit about, obviously your eating habits, Your sleep habits are really important for athletes. But I would also say, just going into the game itself, like the game becomes more physical, right? You're going, as a freshman, you're going up against potentially juniors or seniors or grad students.
Mm-hmm.
And they're physically stronger because they've been in the weight room. Because, some high school guys and girls, they get in the weight room. Some don't. Some get in every once in a while. Some don't know how to, do a power clean or a squat, with proper form, like the powerlifting stuff. And so, but when you get to college, lifting is such an important part of your growth and development because you're playing the game, especially like I'm thinking basketball, but the guys you're playing against are much more physical, and you've got to match that or you're going to get beat. And I think of like even baseball, the hitters, man, they're powerful. Like, not that they weren't in high school, but like it's different. And then the speed of the game too. Like in volleyball, the ball's moving faster. In basketball, the players are moving faster and the ball's moving faster. And so you've got to keep up. And then add to that some of the complexity of the game, right? More plays maybe, different strategies that you didn't, maybe your high school coach kept it really simple. I don't know, some high school coaches run like 100,000 plays. The kids don't learn anything, but that's for another day. So, but anyway, but there's complexities that, you've got to learn how to deal with. And maybe you're learning how to watch film because kind of like the weight room, maybe you didn't do a lot of that in high school, but now you're going to do it every day or every other day at the college level, especially once you get into gameplay, So I think a lot of that, is some of the changes for student athletes, as well as like mommy and daddy aren't taking you to practice, and I know some of them as they get to be juniors and seniors, they're taking themselves, I get that, like they're driving then, but like you said, part of you could cut class, you could cut practice. I mean, you won't last long, but just the whole thing, like I've got to make sure I'm disciplined,
Mm-hmm.
I've got to make sure I'm disciplined because if you're not disciplined as a student athlete, especially, you're not going to last long, because like I said, your body might break down or your grades are going to suffer because, playing college sports, it's practically a job.
And you do have to stay eligible.
Yeah, I mean,
it's certain good enough.
And I say it's practically a job just because you combine the weight room sessions with the practice sessions, with the film sessions, like there's a lot going on. And of course, as a coach, you don't want to mandate that they give you all of their time, but there is a different level to it. And I think that is an adjustment, for them. And that's kind of what talking to guys who are coming in here who have played a year of college, I've kind of asked them some of those questions, like, what have you learned? And the biggest thing that they tell me is the strength and the speed of their opponent. So,
yeah, that transitions easily to what I was gonna say. My last point is mistakes become harder to completely recover from. When you're a kid growing up,
that's true.
You show up late, you miss an assignment, whatever. Your mom can talk to the teacher and smooth it over for you. That stuff not happening in college. You show up 10 minutes late to a practice, your coach is gonna, cut your playing time.
Right.
If it's in season, if it's out of season, he's gonna punish you for that in another way. It's like the stakes go up a little bit. And they'll continue to in life. I can tell you from someone who's 31, they kick in more.
Well, yeah, and I think your point there is very true because like you're still like as a college student, you're still very moldable in the sense that you're forming who you are going to be, right? But like you said, your decisions now, like you're more independent, like you're making decisions independent of family. And now you're forming really who you're going to be, what you're going to be all about. And I think so the decisions you make in terms of who your friends are and who you spend time with are really crucial at the college level. Like you mentioned earlier, making the decision to prioritize your spiritual life, going to church, not just because you go to chapel at a Christian college, does that guarantee you're going to grow spiritually? So really, you've got to own it. Just like you have to own your academics, your athletics, you have to own your spiritual life too, because you're forming kind of your informative years that are going to shape the direction of your life as you leave college. So I think, yeah, there's definitely a lot of changes. I mean, we could probably go on for a long time on this, but those are some of the big ones for me. I don't know if you have any others that you thought of.
Yeah, just the last thing I was going to say basically is summarize that the habits you form in college are really habits you're going to continue. So if, college is a awakening experience, and you really need to start, I didn't start doing some of this stuff, but you need to make it some things a priority. Like, what is the most important to me stuff is I need to start focusing on that.
Yeah, so hope you enjoyed today's episode, talking a little bit about the challenges, the changes going from high school to college. Certainly, there's definitely a lot as it relates to the athlete experience, but I would say just students in general, really make it a point to focus on who you are as a person, who you're becoming, the man or woman that God's called you to be. If you haven't already, give us a follow on our YouTube channel here at BUF Athletics, and then our athletic website, which recently launched, is buffeagles.com. Coming soon will be game schedules, ticketing information, and all that good stuff. So we hope you'll tune in again next time.